Hey there, internets, Nelson here. Now, this video is all about those who are going to jump into Webflow for the first time. Now, if you're jumping in and you're wondering what can I build and what can I not build inside of Webflow, this is the video for you. I'm going to tell you all about the limitations of Webflow. So there's a lot of things that Webflow doesn't advertise when it comes to limitations. Makes sense, but I just want to tell you this is not about like don't use Webflow. This is more about the realness, being honest about Webflow and what you can and can't build. All right, so let's get to it. The first thing I want to tell you about is static versus dynamic pages. What are they and what are their limitations? All right, so I'm going to go on my screen right here. And if you haven't been into Webflow, this is the Webflow UI, and I'm using a free template. If I go here to the Pages panel, right here, you'll see it says static pages, okay? And static pages are usually pages that are indicated with a white page icon, all right? And so static pages are used for things like the home page, contact page, about page, or a blog list page. Basically one-off pages that you only make one of and you don't really use again, all right? Now, if you're thinking about a dynamic page, if you're wondering what's a dynamic page, I'll get into that in a later section. But static pages used for one-off pages, all right? The limitations to static pages is you can only have up to 100 if you're on a paid plan. And even if you're on the enterprise plan or something like that, Webflow will not give you more than 100. The reason why is because the platform will get sluggish, or your experience won't be as great. But then again, if you're using more than 100 static pages, you might want to rethink how you're using Webflow. Because again, you don't need that many one-off pages. If you do need those many pages, you're better off using a dynamic template page. And again, we'll get into that later. So 100 is the limit, but if you're on the starter free plan, then you only get 2 pages to play around with. But there is a workaround. If you want even more pages, what you can do is go to the webflow.com/templates, then click on free, and then choose any of these templates. Like say I'm going to choose Chomp, and then I'm going to preview in Designer. Doing this lets me look at the template inside of the Webflow UI. Then I can go ahead and turn off preview mode. Then go to the Pages panel and look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 static pages, all right? So what you can do with these pages is go to one and start deleting everything you don't need, even all the way down to a blank page, and start experimenting, start learning Webflow, and you'll have 7 pages to play around with. Now, if you delete a page while you're in the starter plan, you can't get that page back because you're blocked by that 2-page limit. So just delete elements, but don't delete the pages, okay? So that's static pages. Now, let's talk about dynamic pages and collections, all right? So Webflow calls databases collections because a database is a collection of data. I don't know, something like that. And if you click on this database looking icon, you'll see collections, okay? Now, actually, let me go to my project. There we go. I'm going to do it here. All right, there. So in here, I can click on this icon, and here we go. I have a collection. Now, what is a collection? Again, a collection is basically a database. But with Webflow, you can create a database visually. So think about a database as a spreadsheet, like in Google Sheets or in Microsoft Excel. The top row is going to be the label for each column of data, and where each row is actually your data entry, okay? So a collection is a spreadsheet. Now, what is a collection field? Collection fields are those labels, the first row in your spreadsheet. It's the labels for each of your columns. And collection fields you can add up to, looking at my notes here, like up to 30 if you're on the CMS plan, or up to 60 if you're in the business plan and up. All right. And you can't get any higher than that. I'm telling you the limits, and the highest limit is something that Webflow will not budge on until they later on upgrade their systems. So right now it's up to 60. So all of these collection custom fields is what you get access to and start playing around with. All right. Now, say I want to create a template one that already has a bunch of collection fields made for me. So I just click on that one button, and there we go. I have a bunch of collection custom fields. And again, you can only have up to 20, or no, you can only have up to 30 or 60, depending on the site plan you're on. I'm going to create collection, and there we go. So I've created my spreadsheet, I've labeled the columns, and now I need to add data. And so what you can do, just to prototype even faster, you can create sample items. So I'm going to add 10 items and wait for that to happen. And there we go. So this is my rows inside of my spreadsheet. Okay. This is what we call collection items. So we have the whole collection, which is the spreadsheet, the collection fields, which is the labels of each column, and now the collection items. For the collection items, the limitations to that is you can have only 50 if you're on the starter plan, or 2,000 if you're on the CMS, or 10,000 if you're on the business or above. Okay. Now, that's the limitations for that. And lastly, the number of collections or spreadsheets is you can have up to 20 collections on the CMS or 40 collections on the business plan and up. All right. Now, there's people who come into Webflow and they ask, can I get more than 10,000 items or more than 60 collections? And we have to tell them, no, you can't. Because again, it's the platform's limitation, but there is a workaround. Okay. So what you can do is split up your projects into multiple projects. And so you can have one for blog and set that up through your subdomain. So you have like blog.whatever.com, and then keep your marketing site at whatever.com. It's the same thing that Webflow's doing, where they have like blog.webflow.com and then they have university.webflow.com. They're different different projects, and they have all their limitations as far as the number of collections and data, but they're different projects and they connect to that same main domain name using a subdomain. Hopefully you understand that. All right. Okay, next is the assets panel. Now, if you're familiar with traditional web hosts where they give you a certain number of gigabytes to store on your server, Webflow is different. Webflow actually hosts all of your files on Amazon Web Servers and serves them through a content delivery network named Fastly. Now, what I mean by uploading your assets is this assets panel right here. Okay, so this image icon, this is where you would upload all of your images, images, documents, and Lottie files. All right. Now, you're allowed to upload as much as you want, but there are limitations. Okay. For example, for files or image files, you can only upload PNGs, JPEGs, GIFs, or SVGs. For document types, PDFs, docs, Excel sheets, PowerPoint, text, CSV, ODT, ODS, ODP, yeah, you know me. And lastly, JSON file, which is for Lottie files. Okay. Now, another limitation is that the maximum file size for each of your images is 4 megabytes, and for documents, it's 10 megabytes. Okay, so you can't just upload anything. but you can upload as much as you want. As for video files, yes, you can upload video files. However, there's a limitation to that as well. So for videos, you would scroll all the way down in your Add Elements panel, and you would click and drag the background video element onto your page. So I'm going to do that, and I'll just put it right here. And let's just make this with 100 VW. And so it's going to show up something like this. But what you want to look out for is this, supported formats. So when you're uploading a video, you can only upload WebM, MP4, MOVs, or OGGs. And also, the video has to be less than 30 megabytes. The reason why is because after you upload your video, Webflow's server is going to compress it even more and remove any audio tracks. The reason why is this background video element is just used as a way to enhance the user experience with a background looping video. It's supposed to, just be something generic that helps tell the story of the brand or the mission of the website and nothing else. If you do need to upload a video where people can scrub through and also listen to, that's when you would need to upload a video to YouTube, Vimeo, or another third-party video hosting platform, and then drag in a video element and paste in the link to it. And then Webflow will add the embed code for you. Okay, so that video is actually hosted somewhere else. You can't host videos inside of Webflow. If you're thinking about like an audio player where it's like a .wav file or .mp3, you cannot host that inside of Webflow. You need to host it somewhere else, like Dropbox or SoundCloud, and then embed that using code inside of Webflow. Okay, now let's talk about e-commerce. What types of stores can you make in e-commerce? What are the limitations for e-commerce inside of Webflow? So if you're thinking about that, here we go. To get to e-commerce, you would have to click on this shopping cart icon and then enable it. Once enabled, you'll see this setup guide, but I'm going to focus on the products to tell you more about the limitations. Now, the types of stores that you can make inside of Webflow is things like clothing stores or stores that sell physical products, okay? For clothing, you can sell it on your site and fulfill it on your own, or connect it to a third-party tool called Printful, and they'll do the drop shipping and creating the product for you, so you don't have to. For digital products like ebook PDFs or digital art, you can sell that. So for example, if you go to your e-commerce products collection and there's a little switch right here, downloads, okay? So what happens is when a customer buys this product, an email to the digital product will be sent to the customer with a link, all right? As far as subscription goes, like if you're trying to sell a monthly subscription box full of stuff, you cannot do that yet. Webflow does not allow you to sell subscription-based things or even subscription-based memberships. If you're trying to do that, you can bypass the Webflow e-commerce feature completely and just integrate MemberStack. And you can get to MemberStack by going to memberstack.io, and they have a way to integrate user login and subscription payments inside of Webflow with low code. Like, it's really simple to get into, and they even have free templates that you can start from where it's like 90% of the work is already done for you. All right, last thing, web host bandwidth limits. Now, every hosting company has their limitations because sending bytes and bits back and forth to different computers does take energy, does take time, does take resources. So here on the Webflow pricing page, I'm going to click on site plans and explain some of this. So for monthly visits, the basic, you get 25,000, CMS, 100,000, business, 1 million, enterprise, Let's talk about it. All right. So what is a monthly visit? A monthly visit is when someone comes to your website, and that's one. If that same person comes back to your website that same month, that's still one. This is unique visits, okay? If you get more than what your plan allows, Webflow is not going to take down your website. It's not going to close your website. It's not going to delete your website. It's just going to send you a nice email saying, "Hey, we noticed that you're consistently going over your limit. You should upgrade." All right? So, that's nice of them. Also, CDN. If you don't know what a CDN is, it's a content delivery network. All right. And so, what a content delivery network is, it's just a bunch of servers all around the world. And so, if someone is near a certain server, your website will be served from that machine. All right. If you want to see where all the servers are at, you can go to fastly.com, and here's their map. And what they call POPs, or points of presence, this is where they are. All right. So if someone is going to your website and they're from central United States, they'll probably be hitting up Denver or Kansas City whenever your site is being loaded. And if it's South America or South Africa, then these would be the points of presence. For basic and CMS, you get the basic CDN. But for business and enterprise, you get global. So what that means is you get some of the CDN servers to serve your website for you, whereas business and enterprise, you get the whole thing. You get all the servers. All right. All right. That's it for all the limitations that I can think about. But yeah, this video isn't to downplay Webflow. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect software solution for every single use case out there in the world. It's like trying to imagine telling the whole world, "Hey, everyone, agree to one pizza topping forever. That's it. We can only have one." It's never going to happen. But under these limitations, if Webflow still works for you, use it. It's fun to use. It changed so many people's lives, including mine. But if you still have a question or a comment about Webflow before even diving in, I am here to help. Just leave that in the comment section below. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. And as always, make the web beautiful together. See ya.